Hello, my name is Albert. I am from Toronto, Canada. I heard a story from my grandmother long ago, and today I feel like I have finally found a place where I can share it. It was a black magic related incident that happened many years ago, and my grandmother witnessed the terror herself. I will write it exactly the way she described it. My family wasn't very wealthy. They couldn't properly provide for me. Because of that, I started working as a maid from an early age. The family I served lived in Ravenford Province, a quiet and fertile land surrounded by forests and winding dirt roads. At that time, the Ravenford estate was the largest house in the entire province. It was 2 stories tall, with stone walls aged by ivy, and a garden that wrapped around it like a green ocean. At the very top of the house was a small, inn-like structure on the roof. Travelers had used it decades ago, but it had been locked for as long as anyone could remember. The mistress of the house was Lady Margaret Hale. Her husband had died years earlier from illness, leaving her alone with her 2 children. Edmund Hale was the elder son. Clara Hale was the younger daughter. They were wealthy, yes, but more than that, they were kind. I began working for them when I was only 16 years old. I expected to be treated like a servant. Instead, they treated me like family. I ate the same food they ate. I slept in a warm room inside the house. Edmund was deeply religious. He prayed every day and attended church regularly. Clara was gentle, soft-spoken, and always smiling. The house felt like paradise, until the watch arrived. Edmund had a habit. Every Friday, he traveled to the city, where he stayed overnight with his pastor friend, Father Lionel, and another friend named Victor, the son of a wealthy merchant. He always returned on Saturday morning. That Friday, I remember feeling uneasy the moment he left. He returned the next day, just as expected, but something was wrong. Lady Margaret noticed it first. On Edmund's wrist was a watch, silver black, with strange markings that looked unfamiliar. Lady Margaret gently asked, "Where did you get that watch, Edmund?" He smiled, but it wasn't his smile. He explained that he had visited Victor's house. Victor's father had recently brought many watches from abroad. Edmund said he had tried one on, then removed it when he felt unwelcome by Victor's father. Later, Victor's father insisted that he keep it. Lady Margaret didn't think much of it and told her son to freshen up. She didn't know that at that moment the house had been marked. From that day forward, Edmund changed. He stopped praying. At first, we thought he was simply tired, but days passed, then weeks, and not once did he open his prayer book. He locked himself in his room. Before, Edmund was obsessed with cleanliness. He asked me to clean his room twice a day. Now he screamed if I even approached the door. He stopped bathing. A sour, animal-like, rotting smell began to seep out from under the door. When he came out to eat, he ate with both hands, shoveling food into his mouth like he hadn't eaten in years. His fingers clawed at the meat. His jaw cracked loudly as he chewed. Lady Margaret cried the first time she saw it. She didn't understand what had happened to her son or why he was behaving that way. Clara was too scared to approach him. Then came the nights. I was the first to see them. Green eyes, glowing, low to the ground, moving between the hedges of the garden, and the sound, a growl. Not like a dog, not like any animal I knew. It sounded hungry. Soon, Lady Margaret and Clara saw them too. Mist began to rise at night, thick and unnatural. It swallowed the house completely, even when there was no fog anywhere else in the province. The air felt heavy, like something was breathing with us. Lady Margaret asked a neighbor to bring a doctor from the city, since she couldn't leave the house. She thought her son might be suffering from some kind of illness. The neighbor brought a doctor from the city. He arrived in the evening, examined Edmund, and spoke with him. No physical illness, the doctor said. But Edmund laughed, a low, broken laugh. They couldn't move him. If anyone tried, he attacked like a beast. The doctor left. Or so we thought. As he reached the door, he turned to me and said he had forgotten his bag. He asked me to bring it. When I returned, the doctor was gone. vanished. The bag was still in my hands. The next day, the neighbor went to return it. He came back with shocking news. The doctor had never arrived at his chamber. He was missing. One evening, Edmund emerged, clean, calm, and normal. He said he was going to visit Father Lionel. Everyone was surprised and relieved. Maybe he had finally returned to his normal state. I watched him walk into the darkness. The mist swallowed him whole. That was the last time I ever saw him alive. 2 days later, Father Lionel arrived. He said he had come to check on his friend because Edmund hadn't visited him for over a month. Lady Margaret was shocked. "What?" she said. "He went to visit you 2 days ago." Father Lionel looked confused. He said Edmund had never come. Lady Margaret grew worried and contacted the police to search for her son. She began telling Father Lionel everything about Edmund's behavior over the past few weeks, but she didn't mention the watch. Who would ever think it was the cause? Father Lionel grew suspicious. "Did he bring anything new into the house?" he asked. "Anything at all?" Lady Margaret thought for a moment and then said, "His friend's father gave him a watch." The pastor wanted to see it, but Lady Margaret said it was still on Edmund's wrist. By then, night had already fallen, and Father Lionel said he would return the next day. As he was leaving, he heard growling sounds coming from the garden. Through the mist, he saw green eyes staring back at him. He walked quickly and went straight to the church. Father Lionel returned the next day, and clearly terrified. He shocked everyone with what he had discovered. He said that through his spiritual knowledge he had learned the truth. The watch Edmund received was cursed with black magic. Victor's father disliked Edmund and didn't want his son associating with him. He was jealous of Edmund's wealth and his strong faith in God. Victor's father worshipped Lucifer in exchange for success. That was why Victor's father went to a witch and performed black magic on the watch. He knew his son would bring it home. He knew Edmund would wear it. "Man-eating ghouls were sent after your son and after everyone in this house," Father Lionel said. Lady Margaret collapsed in tears. Father Lionel then asked, "Is there any place in this house that has been locked for a long time, somewhere untouched?" Lady Margaret told him about the small inn on the roof that had been locked for many years. We all went there. The door was locked from the outside. From inside, we heard growling sounds. Father Lionel slowly opened the door. A warm wind rushed out, carrying a rotten, unbearable stench. He shone his torch inside the inn. What we saw was terrifying. There were 2 dead bodies. One was only a skeleton, completely stripped of flesh. The other body was half-eaten. It was Edmund. The cursed watch was still on his wrist. Lady Margaret burst into tears. Clara was too shocked to even move. She stood frozen, staring at her brother's body. Father Lionel said, "We must exorcise the watch right now. If we don't, none of us will survive." He entered the inn, removed the watch from Edmund's body, poured holy water over it, and began chanting from the Bible. The moment the exorcism began, everything felt wrong. Growls echoed from all around the garden. Green eyes appeared everywhere in the mist. Clara suddenly screamed. She lifted into the air for a moment, then fell hard to the floor. I rushed to her and held her. Lady Margaret collapsed and lost consciousness. Clara opened her eyes. They were blood red. She glared at Father Lionel and lunged toward him. I tried to hold her, but she threw me across the room. I couldn't stand. From the floor, I saw Father Lionel pour oil onto the watch and set it on fire. Clara froze for a moment, screamed loudly, in a way no human ever should, and then collapsed. I slowly lost consciousness. The next morning, I woke up in a hospital bed. My entire body ached. Clara was lying beside me. Father Lionel arrived and said the curse was finally over. The police recovered the bodies, but they couldn't identify what kind of animal had eaten them. No known animal feeds that way. The bite marks didn't match anything recorded. And that other body belonged to the doctor. That explains why he was missing. Victor's father was never punished because the law and the police don't believe in black magic. People get away with terrifying crimes and innocent people suffer. After that day, Lady Margaret and Clara moved far away. I never saw them again. That was the terrifying hell my grandmother witnessed. I know many people won't believe this story, but if something paranormal ever happens to you, you will truly understand what terror feels like. All right, guys, the horror ends here for tonight. There will be more terrifying experiences on this channel, so don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Share it with your horror nerd friends. If you've experienced something paranormal, you can email your story to the address in the description. See you in the next video. Stay safe until then, if you can.